Hey everyone, I'm back. I'm sorry about that last video. I don't say a word about the trolls that say something to me because I don't give a shit about that. I just get really mad when they come and to Allie and Shelly and do that. You know what I mean? That I just wish everyone would just stop, just leave them alone. Stop asking them to say names. Stop asking them to stop. Just leave them alone and just watch what she's already posted. She's already said, like, what she's needed to say, what we need to know. She's provided what she need. Like, she's met her burden of proof, guys. Leave her alone. Okay? It's not her problem that you all don't have the patience to sit there and watch it all. It's not her fault. So leave her alone. Okay? She's done what she's needed to do. Let her live her fucking life. Okay? And besides, like, you all sit there and watch these clips and stuff. It's annoying. And it's too much. It's too much to put in one documentary or 5 documentary. Like, it's too much. And unfortunately, a lot of the stuff she's put on there, most of the receipts she's put on there has been scrubbed. It's like if you weren't there to see it, you didn't get to see it. But there's plenty of us who has. And a lot of these things are very hard to find now. Because there are people actively, as you can see in my comments, there's people actively trolling, actively spreading misinformation, taking stuff down off the internet, and stuff like that. There are people who have something to hide. Big time. Why would they spend all this time and money doing this? Doesn't make no sense. Makes no sense. And that Instagram live that everyone's like trolling about, they're like, oh, I just saw a video of her just shouting names randomly and blah, blah, blah. Well, because you saw the 2-minute viral clip, okay? There's like a whole hour-and-a-half video that goes into that 2-minute clip. You just saw 2 minutes of it. That's it. That's it. And listen, it's on my channel now. The whole video in its whole. It's on my channel. I had to break it up into parts because it's a little long. But the whole thing's on my channel. You can find it. And that thing was hard to find. It was hard to find. I looked everywhere for it. But I found it. And I put it on there for you guys. Because there's just too much. There's too much going on. Too much. But if you go watch the whole video, she provides context. And she did say names. You know who she exposed mainly in that video? She exposed Joe Biden. She exposed Joe Biden in that video. That got taken down. The quote viral video got taken down everywhere. And ever since that viral video that y'all are on here, thrashing her for, her and her mom have been on the run ever since then. Basically on the run, like hiding out. And because there are people like who have tried to have attempts on their life. Okay, like for real. It's real. This is real. And you're all sitting there acting like it's a game. Like, name names. Name names and you're part of the problem. And she did. She's done all that. Leave her alone. Leave her and her mom alone. Let them have some peace. Okay? Damn. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. That's what made me so mad. And yeah, and one more thing. The people out there saying that she's making money. She has never made a single dime. Like, what are you all talking about? That is like all she screams about is how she hates it when people profit off of things like this. She refuses to do it. That's why she doesn't go on TV. She doesn't go and do those things because and then you all sit there saying, that's sus? Like, what's wrong with you guys? Like, what's wrong with you guys? Oh, yeah. And one last thing before we move on to MK Ultra, which is a perfect segue to it. Everyone's shouting and screaming at her, well, you need to go to the feds. You're protecting these people. Why aren't you going to our federal government and giving them your receipts? Okay, to those of you new to all of this, yeah, the federal government is the problem. They are the problem in and of itself. They're the problem. And that leads us to the MK Ultra documents. Now, what's MK Ultra? That's the biggest question I get asked. And the biggest question I see on the internet currently. Like, anyone who mentions it, I hear people, what's that? Is that a drug? What's that? Like, and I was shocked. Because I thought everyone knew what, well, I mean, I thought everyone had at least heard the name before. But apparently not. I mean, even I didn't fully know what it was, really, until I looked into it. But I had heard of it. Honestly, what I thought it was like something to do with aliens. That's what, honestly, I don't know why I thought that. I'd heard the name and I thought it had something to do with aliens. I knew it was something to do with the CIA, but that was all I thought about it. And then when I started looking into it a couple years ago and stuff, you know, I was like, damn, but what the crazy thing is like most people haven't even heard of it before. Isn't that crazy? Like, how could that be? Like, a whole human experimentation project by our federal government? Like, how could people just not know about that if it's true? If it's true, how could people not know about that? Well, don't take my word for it. Don't take Allie's word for it. Don't take any of our word for it. Since you all want to trust our federal government so much, we can just take their word for it because these documents came right from the cia.gov website, right off the government website. This is their declassified document. Our federal government, listen carefully, this came from www.cia.gov. This is their declassified MK Ultra documents, and we're going to read them together. That way, you all get this directly from your government, you know, so you don't have to take, you don't have to take Albatross's word for it or Allie Carter's word for it. Just take their word for it. Okay. Project MK Ultra, or MK Ultra, which was the code name for a covert CIA mind control and chemical interrogation research program run by the Office of Scientific Intelligence. This official U.S. government program began in the early 1950s, continuing at least through the late 1960s. It's weird that date kind of changes a little bit. First, now it's the late 1960s, or here it's the late 1960s. Later it'll be 1963, which isn't the late 1960s. But you know, it's the government. You know how it is. They're allowed some errors. They're allowed to be a little inconsistent every now and then, right? And it supposedly used United States citizens as unwitting test subjects. Well, it seems later that it's pretty clear that they did, but let's just read through because they confirm it later. Okay. Where was I? Okay. The published evidence indicates that Project MK Ultra involved the surreptitious. I knew I was going to get that word messed up. Listen, guys, I swear I know how to read. I swear I know how to read. The surreptitious use of many types of drugs, as well as other methods to manipulate individual mental states and to alter brain function. Project MK Ultra was first brought to wide public attention in 1975. That's funny, because all the old people I talked to didn't even know what it was. By the U.S. Congress. Wasn't that nice of them? Through investigations by the Church Committee. And by a presidential commission known as the Rockefeller Commission. Investigative efforts were hampered by the fact that the CIA director Richard Helms ordered all MK Ultra's records destroyed in 1973. And if you're wondering if he got reprimanded for this at all, he didn't. You know, he got to be an ambassador and then did interviews for the rest of his life about the CIA, even though he was super secretive. He got to write a bunch of books and all this other stuff. So, no, he didn't get no repercussions whatsoever. None. Okay, and the Church Committee and Rockefeller Commission's investigations relied on the sworn testimony of direct participants and on the relatively small number of documents that survived Helms' destruction order. And those are the ones we're going to get into. Although the CIA insists that MKUltra type experiments have been abandoned, 14-year CIA veteran Marchetti has stated in various interviews that the CIA routinely conducts misinformation. You know what? God help me! Ugh, sorry, guys. Conducts disinformation campaigns, and that CIA mind control research continued. And when you think about it, now, opinion alert, this is my opinion I'm about to say. I kind of feel like they did, because if they didn't, if they were actually horrified by this and stopped it right then and there, then I feel like that Richard Helms guy would have been held accountable for, treason. But he wasn't, he was all good. He even got to be an ambassador. So, good for him, I guess. Not good for the thousands of people that they claim to have tortured, probably many, many, many more. But anyways, I digress. In a 1977 interview, Marchetti specifically called the CIA claim that MKUltra was abandoned a cover story. All right. On the Senate floor in 1977, Senator Ted Kennedy said, "The deputy director of the CIA revealed that over 30 universities and institutions were involved in an extensive testing and experimentation." I'm going to repeat that. Over 30 universities and institutions were involved in an extensive testing and experimentation program, which included covert drug tests on unwitting citizens. You see, now this isn't supposedly. Now they're stating this as fact. This isn't supposedly. At all social levels, high and low, Native Americans and foreign. Several of these tests involved the administration of LSD to unwitting subjects in social situations. To those of you who've never done LSD, could you imagine someone just giving that to you unwillingly? At least one death. Oh my gosh. Please. Like they would tell us if there was more than that. That of Dr. Frank Olson resulted from these activities. The agency itself acknowledged that these tests made little scientific sense. The agents doing the monitoring were not qualified scientific observers. What? Oh my God, yeah, we're going to get to that. The scientists they use. We're going to get to that in a second. Oh yeah, that one's a doozy. To this day, most specific information regarding Project MKUltra remains highly classified. And you see, considering that they've committed crimes, they're not just coming out and saying it. They actually committed crimes against humanity in these experiments. Totally unethical. And they're going to keep it classified. Our tax dollars paid for this. And they're going to keep it all classified? But that's okay, because I think we got enough information that's coming up. Okay, and they have a little table of contents here. Title and origins, goals, budget, experiments, which include LSD, other drugs, hypnosis and magic, and Canadian experiments. 5. Revelation. 6. U.S. General Accounting Office Report. 7. Legal issues involving informed consent. Oh, geez. 8. Extent of participation. 9. Notable subjects. And that one's another one that's interesting, especially given current events going on right now. Incidents, which, Dr. Olson's supposed suicide. So, yeah, and then all those references. Okay. Title and origins. The project's intentionally oblique CIA cryptonym is made up of the digraph MK, meaning that the project was sponsored by the agency's Technical Services Division, followed by the word Ultra, which had previously been used to designate the most secret classifications of World War II intelligence. Other related cryptonyms include MK Naomi and MK Delta. A precursor of the MKUltra program began in 1945 when the Joint Intelligence Objectives Agency was established and given direct responsibility for Operation Paperclip. Here we go. Operation Paperclip was a program to recruit former Nazi scientists. Some of these scientists studied torture and brainwashing, and several had been identified and prosecuted as war criminals during, the Nuremberg trials. I'm sorry, guys. Nuremberg trials, if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Several secret U.S. government projects grew out of Operation Paperclip. These projects included Project Chatter, established in 1947, Project Bluebird, established in 1950, which was later renamed to Project Artichoke in 1951, and their purpose was to study mind control. Wait a minute. Didn't they just say earlier that this mind control stuff started in 53? Now they're saying that it's, it started in 51 and 50. If Project Bluebird and Project Artichoke, if their purpose was to study mind control, interrogation, behavior modification, and related topics, wasn't that before? Anyways, another little inconsistency there. Headed by Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, the MK-Ultra project was started on the order of CIA Director Alan Dulles on April 13, 1953. Yep, that's when they say it started, but I guess... Okay, maybe they mean like the official MK-Ultra project. Okay, maybe that's what they mean. Largely in response to Soviet, Chinese, and North Korean use of mind control techniques on U.S. prisoners of war in Korea. The CIA wanted to use similar methods on their own captives. So, all that him and Holland we did, about how we're so much better than them, we treat our prisoners better than them. No, not really. The CIA was also interested in being able to manipulate foreign leaders with such techniques, and would later invent several schemes to drug Fidel Castro. These guys just, they're just like rabid animals running around. Experiments were often conducted without the subject's knowledge or consent. In some cases, academic researchers being funded through grants from CIA front organizations were aware that their work was being used for these purposes. So they're saying right here that CIA has front organizations. They're saying that and on their own website. In 1964, the project was renamed MK Search. The project attempted to produce a perfect truth drug for use in interrogating suspected Soviet spies during the Cold War, and generally to explore any other possibilities of mind control. Just generally, we just want to know how to control the mind. That's it. It's science. And we're the U.S. government, so who better than us to be able to mind control? Another MK-Ultra effort, Subproject 54, was the Navy's top-secret perfect concussion program, which used subaural frequency blasts to erase memory. Doesn't that sound familiar? Isn't there, some tech people that do that these days, and they call it mental health? Just something to, I don't know. Just something to think about. Because most MK Ultras were deliberately destroyed in 1973 by order of the then CIA Director Richard Helms, it has been difficult, if not impossible, for investigators to gain a complete understanding of the more than 150 individually funded research subprojects sponsored by MK Ultra, related CIA programs. What's crazy to me is that, if they did destroy most of the documents and the ones we're about to read were the ones that didn't make the cut, I can't imagine what some of those documents must have said. Like, can you imagine? I mean, you'll see in a second, but I just can't imagine. All right, goals. The agency poured millions of dollars into studies probing dozens of methods of influencing and controlling the mind. One 1955 MKUltra document gives an indication of the size and range of the effort. This document refers to the study of an assortment of mind-altering substances, describes as follows. The agency poured millions of dollars into the studies. Oh, wait, sorry, I just read that. Okay, here we go. My bad, guys. Okay, number 1, substances which will promote illogical thinking and impulsiveness to the point where the recipient would be discredited in public. Let me read that one again. Substances which will promote illogical thinking and impulsiveness to the point where the recipient would be discredited in public. Gee, doesn't that sound like someone we all know and love, a woman by the name of Britney Spears? That's just my opinion. 2, substances which will increase the efficiency of mentation and perception. Am I saying that word right? Mentation. Maybe they mean meditation? I don't know. The efficiency of mentation and perception, whatever that word means. 3, materials which will prevent or counteract the intoxicating effect of alcohol. 4, materials which will promote. 5. Sorry, guys. It's really super small. It's hard to read. 5, materials which will produce the signs and symptoms of recognized diseases in a reversible way so that they may be used for malingering, etc. 6, materials which will render the induction of hypnosis easier or otherwise enhance its usefulness. 7, substances which will enhance the ability of individuals to withstand privation, torture, and coercion during interrogation, and so-called brainwashing. 8, materials and physical methods which will produce amnesia for events preceding and during their use. Yeah. Materials and physical methods which will produce amnesia for events preceding and during their use. Doesn't that also sound familiar to what we've been... Anyways, I digress. 9, physical methods of producing shock and confusion over extended periods of time, incapable of surreptitious use. Nailed it. 10, substances which will produce physical disablement, such as paralysis of legs, acute anemia, etc. 11, substances which will produce pure euphoria with no subsequent letdown. Why? 12, substances which alter personality structure in such a way that the tendency of the recipient to become dependent upon another person is enhanced. I'm going to read that again. 12, substances which alter personality structure. Just like Allie Carter says with her dissociative identity disorder and all the other MKUltra subjects. You mean that personality structure? In such a way that the tendency of the recipient to become dependent upon another person is enhanced. Also like Britney Spears. 13, a material which will cause mental confusion of such a type that the individual under its influence will find it difficult to maintain a fabrication under questioning. 14, substances which will lower the ambition and general working efficiency of men when administered in undetectable amounts. 15, substances which will promote weakness or distortion of the eyesight or hearing faculties, preferably without permanent effects. But it doesn't have to be without permanent effects, just preferably without permanent effects. Oh, yeah. 16, a knockout pill, which can be surreptitiously administered in drinks, food, cigarettes, as an aerosol, etc., which will be safe to use, provide a maximum of amnesia, and be suitable for use by agent types on an ad hoc basis. That'll be suitable for use by agents that'll produce amnesia. You can give it to them by food or cigarettes, and it's safe to use. You can use it over and over again on an ad hoc basis. Interesting, right? 17, a material which can be surreptitiously administered by the above routes, and which, in very small amounts, will make it impossible for a man to perform any physical activity whatsoever. And a little note under here, historians have asserted that creating a Manchurian candidate subject through mind control techniques was a goal of MKUltra and related CIA projects. And I'm going to have to come back and do a part 2 on this video. We'll finish reading these documents. Stay tuned.